Okay, great. Thanks everybody for joining us today. I'd just like to introduce Deputy Executive Director for the Port of Long Beach, Dr. Noel Hasegaba, who will be your MC today.
Great. Thank you very much, Carrie. Can you all hear me? All right. It's so good to be out here in person again. As Carrie said, I'm with the Port of Long Beach, and I'm happy to serve as your MC for the 5th Annual California Clean Air Day. Let me begin by welcoming all of you, especially our City Hall and Port of Long Beach staff, to renew our pledge to promote clean air quality and to combat climate change. As you know, the City of Long Beach has made sustainability a priority for decades, including its partnership with the Port of Long Beach and the Clean Air Action Plan. And all of these efforts have expanded to include programs aimed at reducing greenhouse gases and other initiatives focused on enhancing resilience to climate change. And, ladies and gentlemen, as you'll hear from our speakers, we are very much on track for continued progress, and you're going to hear more about this from our speakers. But before we move on to our speakers, I would like to thank our Long Beach firefighters. How many of you enjoyed your hot dog already? Right? Let's give them a hand for grilling today's lunch. And if you haven't had your hot dog, make sure you get it on your way out. I'd also like to acknowledge all of our special guests who are here. As you can see, we have a number of booths and tables representing different departments and organizations that are part of this broader effort to clean the air and make sure we are on track to that zero-emission future. As you know, Council District 1 includes a large part of the port. To begin our program and to tell us more about the city's efforts, let me introduce Long Beach District 1 City Council Member Mary Zendejas.
Noel. Thank you. Hi, friends. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm so happy to be here today celebrating our Clean Air Day. It's important we take time to highlight what we're working on, especially when it impacts our communities and their quality of life. A zero-emission future is no longer a dream, but a goal. I'm happy to hear how we're gradually improving with reducing emissions in our port. Our port's literally in our backyard. A lot of our ports have a large import and export traffic while providing so many jobs nationwide. And it's important that we maintain a robust workforce and lead the way in supporting our economy and protecting our environment at the very exact time. I'm also proud of all the work that we do with our state partners and our federal partners. And I think it's important to work together to reach our goals. Together we can accomplish so much. And let's continue the momentum. Upward and upward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council Members Zendejas, for your comments and for reaffirming the city's commitment to a zero emissions future. Thank you for that. Now I'd like to shift our perspective from City Hall to the Port of Long Beach. Our next speaker is Harbor Commissioner Stephen Neal. Stephen Neal is a minister. He's a longtime community activist. He's a former city council member representing North Long Beach. He's also a longtime Raiders fan. That's right. And there's hope. There's hope. And he was named by Mayor Garcia 3 years ago to the Long Beach Board of Harbor Commissioners. Commissioner Neal.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Noel. It's really a pleasure for me to be here as well. Thank you for those inspiring words, Council Members Zendejas. And I'm really honored to speak to you today at our 5th Annual California Clean Air Day. At the Port of Long Beach, though, every day is Clean Air Day, and it has been for the last 2 decades. You know, in 2005, long before I joined the Harbor Commission here, this port adopted the Green Port Policy. And that policy has been working to improve the lives and the air quality of our shared communities ever since. It aims to enhance water quality, protect marine life and marine animals, and implement sustainable port practices. But today, on the Clean Air Day, let me focus on our air quality. Clean Air Day asks us to make the pledge to improve our air quality. And the Green Port Policy is our ongoing pledge to make the promise to reduce and eventually eliminate all harmful emissions. So when the port adopted the Green Port Policy, it was truly revolutionary. I was sharing in some of the conversations having amongst our stakeholders today how it's really such a dichotomy for us in Long Beach as being one of the greenest ports, if not the greenest port in the country, but we also have the challenge of having the worst air in the country. So it's a real complicated balance that we have to try to maintain, but we're committed to that. And this port, like other ports and major seaports around the world, it's a hub for enormous fleet vessels, right? Trucks, trains, all of those things that keep our economy moving, but at the same time have an adverse effect on the communities that we all represent and live in. So our environmental initiatives have a more dramatic and more documented gains in cutting the criteria of air pollution, right? This is greatly important to our public health, and we're trying to nurture groundbreaking clean technologies here at the Port of Long Beach to show not only here but around the world how to reduce the impacts in all of our operations. So we know we have a long way to go, and we need to tackle all the sources of port-related emissions and ensure continued progress toward that end. And with our efforts to encourage the use of electric trucks, like the one you see behind me today, we're tackling greenhouse gases. Our goal, ladies and gentlemen, is sustainable zero port. So behind me here are some examples of the clean technology, the zero emission machines that we promoted since we've adopted the Green Port Policy. And we can't claim sole credit for this alone, right? This has been a technology revolution, and we're glad to partner, but we do like to think and believe that we have been a critical spark. So the Green Port Policy has been a collaborative effort supported by the mayor, the city council, by industry, by our community, by labor, and stakeholders throughout the goods movement industry. And let me thank all the port and city staffers for all their work on achieving cleaner air. In addition, to make strides on the waterfront, the Harbor Commission has also worked for more than a decade to fund community-based projects to reduce our impacts on air, traffic, noise, and water. So we do this through our $65 million community grant program, the largest voluntary effort of its kind by any seaport in the United States. And it includes air filters for classrooms, mobile health screenings, asthma education programs for all the port-related residents, and also tree planting. So here at the Port of Long Beach, we're demonstrating that good jobs and economic development need to not come at the cost of our environment, and we're just happy to partner and be here with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Commissioner Neal. Commissioner Neal was referencing some of the equipment that will get us to zero emissions, including this truck and charging station. At the port just a couple of weeks ago, we had this event that was marking the launch of this exciting program. We also have zero emissions bikes right there that you're free to use each and every day. So make sure you avail yourselves of all zero emissions equipment across the city. Well, one of the things that Commissioner Neal mentioned is the Green Port Policy, which is really unique to the Port of Long Beach. And our next speaker was actually on the Board of Harbor Commissioners when the Port of Long Beach launched this game-changing, revolutionary policy. And that's before he went to the FMC, where he served until 2017 when he was appointed Executive Director. Please welcome Mario Cordero.
Thank you, Noel, for that kind introduction. In the interest of keeping the sport commentary balanced, you forgot to mention Dodger Blue and the passion. So I don't know how many Dodger fans we have out there, but we're going to do it again. And I do support Raider Nation. I mean, you know that, Commissioner. But on a serious note, Councilwoman, you said it perfect. The momentum is here. We're on the go, on the road to zero. And it's so apropos that on the 5th annual California Clean Air Day, what's behind us? A charging infrastructure and a zero-emission truck. So I think the momentum is here. More to come in the future. But as Noel referenced, it's been a long road to address many challenges with regard to the air quality issue. But I could stand here with all honesty and tell you that the Port of Long Beach is a leader with regard to what we say, the Green Port policy in 2005, and the accomplishments that we've made. So in that regard, for the Port of Long Beach, the Green Port, again, I'm very proud to be in a situation in which we are seen as environmental leaders. And as Noel mentioned, back in 2005, we moved forward the Green Port policy, as Noel knows, and Rick, who was also been here back to those times. When we announced the Green Port policy, there was a lot of doubters. People who said that because of our environmental initiatives and our plan of action that culminated with a partnership with the Port of Los Angeles for a Cleaner Action Plan in 2006, that we were going to lose business. Well, I think for both ports, it's clear that in 2021, we had record volume. Now, on the other hand, I want to make clear, for the Port of Long Beach, volume is not the only metric. The metric is what we do to better the communities, our neighborhoods, and the people who benefit from the port operations. And more importantly, why we're here today is how we contribute to clean air for the state of California. So in that regard, as you look back and you look to the beginning of 2008, our clean truck program phased out all the older, dirty trucks that we saw on the 710 freeway. If you go back to 2007, 2006, the black smoke that you would see coming from these trucks, you don't see that no longer on the 710, at least not from trucks that serve the ports. So I think we've made great strides. All of the models year trucks today are model year 2007 or newer. And as a matter of fact, 60% of the truck fleet, 20,000 registered in the registry, 60% are year 2014 and newer. So needless to say, things are getting better, and I'm just so excited about what the future is now. We've invested millions of dollars at the Port of Long Beach in environmental initiatives, more specifically shore power with regard to containerized vessels, and there's more to come with what we're going to be doing in terms of at-berth emissions. Again, I have Morgan Caswell here, her and Heather Tomley and Rick. They've been leading that charge in terms of working with our tenants to move forward in that role. So again, I also want to mention a couple more things before I conclude. We're the first seaport to have public charging stations for truck drayage. And we're the only seaport that has as much as 17% of our cargo handling equipment that's already zero. Now, admittedly, I'm not here to say that mission's accomplished with 17%. But what I am here to state and make clear that the Port of Long Beach not only puts out a plan, but we put out results. And in this regard, I'm very optimistic in terms of how we're going to accomplish our quest. And I want to thank the City Council for all the leadership that they have shown with regard to the environmental area, more specifically addressing the air emissions. And I also want to thank the Board of Harbor Commissions. So whether it was in 2005 or in 2022, you could be rest assured that the Harbor Commission for the Port of Long Beach continues to raise the bar with regard to what we're going to do as the Port of Long Beach, so that, as I said many years ago, that for this port, the question is not how we benefit the few, the question is how we benefit the many. how we benefit the community, how we benefit the neighborhoods. We can't do all this tomorrow, but I think the future for us looks very green and very zero. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mario. So as you heard from Mario and before him, Commissioner Neal, the Port of Long Beach has built quite a resume, right? So whether it's Dodger blue or silver and black, the one color that unites us all here today is green, right? So our next speaker has worked for the city of Long Beach for 20 years. He's risen through the ranks and working alongside our city council has provided extraordinary leadership in this arena. And it's my pleasure to introduce our city manager, Tom Modica.
Thanks, Noel. So it's just so great to be here today to celebrate this and what's becoming an annual event. But I really want to tie into what Mario said before is it wasn't always this way. This was never a focus in the 1990s. In the early 2000s, it became a focus, and all we talked about was how difficult it was going to be. And I remember hearing that there'll never be such thing as an electric battery truck. That doesn't exist. You can't make it happen. And we had these discussions. Well, there it is right there. Change is hard. Change takes vision. Change takes determination. It takes a city like Long Beach with the port to say we want things better. We want to change it. We're not going to settle for the status quo. And so I've loved watching our city grow in our environmental responsibility. It's one of the things I love about our team is it's not just something that we talk about as a separate topic. It's ingrained in who we are, our responsibility for the environment, our responsibility to lead. Long Beach was one of the very first cities that had an Office of Sustainability to talk about how we can be better and all the things that we do for the environment. We've passed climate action plans that are groundbreaking and are going even beyond state requirements. And we've got professionals like in our own city fleet who every day look and ask the question, can we do that with a battery or can we do that with alternative fuels? Our fleet is 1,600 strong. Over half is alternative fuels or EV. And every year when we buy, we're about 75% of what we buy is electric and or alternative fuels. And so I just remember every time the team says, well, we can't buy that because it doesn't exist. It might not today, but it will tomorrow. So I got to drive one of our very first EV trucks, the Ford Lightning. If you have a chance to get one of those, oh my gosh, it is amazing. It feels like a truck, looks like a truck, works like a truck, 100% electric. And this year we're buying our first refuse truck that's going to be 100% electric, and we're trying that out. So the day will come where we are going to have a 100% electric fleet. I'm a personal believer in that. I drive an electric car. I drive an electric plug-in, and I got to tell you, it is the way of the future. It has so many benefits, and I just thank you all for your commitment to that. It's the right thing to do for the environment. It's the right thing to do for a number of reasons, and just keep up the commitment. And, again, look at how much we can change if we just really commit to something. And 20 years goes by like that. We'll be celebrating the 20th year of that plan in a couple years, Mario, and the Greenport plan, and look how far we've come. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from our city. You've heard from our port. Their commitment is real. It's palpable, tangible, and it's ongoing. Our next speaker, because the city and the port could not do this alone, represents the Coalition for Clean Air. And literally, without them, we wouldn't be here, because it was this organization that launched this event, California Clean Air Day, 5 years ago. And our next speaker is Christopher Chavez, who is the Deputy Policy Director for the Coalition for Clean Air. Christopher?
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Chavez, and I'm the Deputy Policy Director at Coalition for Clean Air. I'm also a member of the City of Long Beach's Parks, Recreation, and Marine Commission. I want to thank the port and the City of Long Beach for celebrating California Clean Air Day today. Today marks the 5th annual California Clean Air Day, a project of Coalition for Clean Air. Hundreds of organizations are participating throughout the state, representing a vast swath of Californians, ranging from business, government, labor, community organizations, and individuals. Tackling the climate and air quality crises are massive challenges, so much so that many people who are looking for opportunities and ways to reduce air pollution feel that there's nothing to do. These challenges are particularly acute in Southern California. California is home to the smoggiest air in the nation, and the burdens of air pollution fall heaviest on our low-income communities and communities of color. Living near the 710 freeway, I can certainly attest to that. Clean Air Day gives people an opportunity to take concrete actions to reduce air pollution, ranging from taking transit to using less chemical-intensive cleaners, all the way to trying and buying electric vehicles. Last year, 1.8 million people participated in Clean Air Day, either by taking the Clean Air Pledge or participating in a Clean Air Day event. The Clean Air Day Pledge resulted in 3.4 million actions by individuals to clean the air. And it's because of Californians that our state is a global and climate leader. From setting the nation's first car emission standards in the 1960s to requiring 100% renewable energy by 2045, Californians have led the way. I want to commend Long Beach and all Californians who are participating in Clean Air Day. To find out more about Clean Air Day, please visit cleanairday.org or find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram with at Clean Air Day. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Chris, for your participation and obviously the leadership of Coalition for Clean Air making this day possible. I would also note that there on my left is Joe Liu from Coalition Clean Air. Hey, Joe, good to see you again. Well, our final speaker is Ian Hostetler, and Ian was with us a couple of weeks ago as we unleashed and unveiled what you see behind us in the form of this truck and charging station. Ian is with Electrify America, which is installing 60 electric fleet-dedicated chargers and battery storage systems at 4Gen Logistics in the Port of Long Beach. So he is literally helping to build the zero-emissions trucking support network. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ian Hostetler.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you to all you, the city, the Port of Long Beach, and all the speakers who spoke before me. Electrify America is very excited to be participating in the California Clean Air Day today. For those who don't know of Electrify America, we are the largest open DC ultra-fast charging network in the United States. We currently have over 800 stations coast to coast, delivering the fastest charging speeds available today. Through our Green City program serving Long Beach and the Wilmington neighborhood of Los Angeles, we are investing $25 million to help enable the electrification of medium and heavy-duty trucks like the thousands of drayage trucks that travel in and out of the Port of Long Beach every day. And this is just a portion of Electrify America's broader commitment to invest $800 million in California's zero-emission vehicle infrastructure and education programs over a 10-year period. A few weeks ago, as Noel mentioned, we announced plans to install 60 fleet-dedicated chargers paired with battery energy storage at the Port of Long Beach with our partner 4Gen Logistics, who at that event announced that they would have their entire fleet be zero emissions by 2025. Bringing ultra-fast charging technology to electric, medium, and heavy-duty trucks serving the Port of Long Beach has the potential to make an immediate impact on the air quality and local communities. It takes foresight and collaboration of many stakeholders, local governments, fleet operators, automakers, infrastructure companies, and the ports, and more, to make zero-emissions transportation a reality for the community today and for a more sustainable tomorrow. And we're just getting started. As Electrify America moves to complete its Green Cities plans through 2024, we'll continue working with local officials as well as private fleet operators, owners, and collaborators to implement projects focused on charging electrification and infrastructure solutions for medium and heavy-duty electric vehicles. And we hope through our collective efforts, we will continue to reduce emissions and have positive impacts in the state of California and throughout the nation. Thank you to all our partners and everyone here today for being part of this progress. I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Thank you, Ian. And let's give all of our speakers a hand at this time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this marks the conclusion of our program. Again, thank you all for being here. May this celebration serve as a reminder to all of us to do our part, to continue to do our part, and also that we renew our pledge for cleaner air. So again, on behalf of the city, the Port of Long Beach, all of our partners, grab your hot... Actually, it's too late. No, they're still there. Make sure you grab your hot dog before you leave. And if the speakers would stick around, I think they want to take some photos of our speakers. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy California Clean Air Day.